Jesus died, he gave his life for all mankind. On that great day, my sins he bore. Jesus the Christ, Savior of mine. Jesus the Christ, Savior of mine.
Three things happened when Jesus died. Firstly, and I'm actually reading from Matthew 27 and verse 50, if you want to follow it, it says that Jesus, when he cried out with a loud voice, he gave up his life, gave up the spirit. So in actual fact, he wasn't killed. And I want to remind you, I'm sure you know that, he voluntarily gave his life for us. But that's the first thing. But then there are two other significant things that actually happened. One is that in that moment of his death, that it is said that the veil of the temple, and this I'm reading actually from Matthew 27, and this is following on from verse 50 and the remaining verses, where it says that two things happened. One is that the veil of the temple was torn in two. Now, that veil was the veil which kept people from going into the Holy of Holies. And only the high priest was allowed to go in once a year with the sin offering. So what actually this signified is that when Jesus died, the barrier which separates us from God was torn apart so that we can enter into that holy place. And not only that we don't need the priest. We as individual people, you and I, and I'm no different to you in this, we can enter into that holy place, into the very presence of God himself. You don't have to die to do that. You can do that while you're alive. And the third thing that I find significant, and I don't find that people mention very much at Easter, is the fact that when Jesus died, many graves were opened. It doesn't indicate how many. And people that had literally died came out of the grave and walked into the city. So that's very significant. To me, those three things happening, that Jesus wasn't killed, he gave up his life voluntarily. Secondly, that temple curtain was torn, so that through his death, and only as a result of his death, the whole scene changed, the whole religious scene changed. That up until now, from the earliest days, once that temple was built, there was always the barrier, and that barrier is now gone. This is the New Testament. This is the new order. This is the new experience of faith through Christ. And the third thing is the significant fact that actually some people came back from the dead. And I don't hear that mentioned very often, and it's particularly Matthew that refers to it. So be encouraged. Come on, be encouraged. And let me also say, if you are missing fellowship in your church, as you obviously are, if you are in a family group, there's no reason why you can't have your own little communion service. And it doesn't have to be a multitude. Remember, the first communion service was only 13 people, Jesus and the 12 disciples. So there's no reason why you can't, without the need of a priest, you can't celebrate communion in your own home in any way you wish, just taking bread and breaking it and sharing the cup. I want you to be blessed and encouraged this Easter. And so I'm going to pray for you. And I'm going to pray for the nation. Father, I just thank you for the message of Easter. And nothing changes. It is a message of death into life. And Father, I just pray that you'd bless everyone who's watching this program now, encourage them, strengthen them, especially with the realization that through Christ they can enter living, they can enter into the very presence of God. Lord, at this Easter time, be very close, especially to those who are alone and lonely. Be close to them. And Father, I pray that following Easter, a miracle will happen, and that the number of deaths will begin to go down, the number with the virus will go down, and that we can pass through.
Before your